So, Ben Whittaker sets the record straight. He stopped Liam Cameron in their rematch last night in 2 rounds. Obviously, their first fight back in October ended in a draw after they tumbled over the top ropes, and Whittaker said he couldn't continue, which led to a lot of people calling him Ben Whittaker. He silenced the critics. He got in there last night and he did the business. He stopped Cameron in 2 rounds. Now, personally, I thought the stoppage was a bit premature. I mean, yes, he did stagger Cameron, and he had him trapped in the corner, and Cameron wasn't firing back. Let's, get that straight. But Howard Foster, the king of early stoppages, waved the fight off, and Ben Whittaker set the record straight. He's now back in the win column after that draw, which is the only blemish on his record. But the big thing everyone's talking about is his behaviour straight after that stoppage. He ran straight across to Cameron's corner, shoved his head through the ropes, appeared at the time to spit at a member of his team, prompting a slap which just missed. And there was a bit of aggro in the corner afterwards. And Andy Lee, who is now Ben Whittaker's trainer, you could see the look on his face. He just walked over it. You could just see him thinking, oh, no, fucking hell, But everybody calmed down, and it is what it is. But I found it interesting. Now, this was in Whittaker's hometown. And when he was being announced, they booed the shit out of him. And I found that quite interesting. Now, a lot of people have criticised Ben Whittaker and disliked Ben Whittaker. I've been critical of him, with the showboating. I don't mind showboating in certain circumstances. When you're consistently fighting bin men, I mean, this was his 10th pro fight since turning over after winning the silver medal at the Olympics. He's 27 now, so he's not. I mean, he's still young. Obviously, he's a young kid. He's a lot younger than me, but he's not, 18, 19 years old. And I think, he needs to be stepping up a little bit. Now, I think the first fight back in October with Cameron was an anomaly. I said at the time that I think that Whittaker, because he'd had such an easy time fighting nobodies, let's be honest, nobodies, and I think he got in there with Cameron, who was coming off a loss, and probably thought he'd have an easy time of it. Liam Cameron gave him a few problems, and was, in my opinion, was up on the cards at the time they tumbled over the ropes, and Whittaker said he couldn't continue. And I believe that Whittaker quit in that fight. I think he wanted a way out, and it is what it is. That's just what I think. I mean, whether people agree with me or not, it doesn't matter. A lot of people have that opinion as well. I am convinced he was having a hard time in there. The fight was getting tough for him. He wasn't prepared mentally for it, and he wanted a way out. It is what it is. But he got the win. He stopped Cameron. But it was the behaviour afterwards. A lot of people criticising him. I totally understand it. They're running around waving his arms around like he just knocked Dmitry Bivol out. It's like, come on, let's get things in perspective. Yes, you've righted the slight blemish on your record, the draw. And a lot of people will keep calling him names and taunting him and saying he was shit and all this kind of stuff, and a hype job. So I understand it. He was pleased with the victory. I totally get it, but he just acts like a bellend all the time. He really, really does. So it's no wonder people don't fucking like him. Now, this is professional boxing. You don't have to be liked. It's all that matters is you make your money and you set your legacy. Who gives a fuck? But it's the way he looked so confused when everyone was booing him at the start of it. He was looking around with this bemused look on his face, like, why are they booing me? It's like, because you're a dickhead. Let's be honest, you are a dickhead. Now, people will pay look at Chris Eubank Sr. back in the day. People used to pay good money, to come and see him lose. Because they didn't like him, they thought he was arrogant and pompous and full of his own bullshit. Like the smell of his own farts, things like that. And it worked in his favour because people paid to see him. They wanted to see him lose. So we could have a situation like that where people will pay to see Ben Whittaker because they want to see him get flattened. Absolutely brilliant. Now, with Ben Shalom in his corner, now I'm not a big fan of Ben Shalom. I think he's a fucking idiot. Ben Shalom will not put him with anybody tougher for a while, he will go back to probably revert back to type and put him in with bin men and journeymen and nobodies for a while, build his record up, and tell everybody he's the best in the world and he's going to be world champion one day. Hey, he may be. He's got the skills. I mean, he's an Olympic silver medalist. But in the second round of this fight, this rematch with Cameron, he was getting caught a couple of times. I mean, in the first round, actually, Whittaker won the round. He was in control, but he was caught with a few nice jabs in the first round from Cameron, and he was caught with a few right hands in the second one. That defence is a little bit leaky. If that was Bivol or Beterbiev or Benavidez, all the Bs, he'd be in serious trouble. And I'm not suggesting he fights any of those guys because they would walk through him. This is only his 9th or 10th pro fight, so it's ridiculous to talk about sticking him in with people like that. There are levels in this sport, as we know. But I think he needs to consistently move up. If he's going to be challenging for a world title in a few years, he needs to be consistently improving the opposition, which he was doing, which Liam Cameron was. He was a step up from what he had been fighting. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with Whittaker. Do I agree? Do I think he deserves all the hatred he gets? Not necessarily all of it, but a lot of it he brings on himself with his behaviour. And some of the stupid shit he says and the arrogance and things. People don't like arrogant people. It's just one of those things. But we'll have to see. But I think if he'd have got if Liam Cameron had flattened him or beaten him last night, it would have been a big thing. People would be happy. People would have been happy. They wanted to see Cameron do the business, and he didn't. And it is what it was. It was what it was. But I find him relatively entertaining at times. Whittaker, and I think he needs to improve his attitude, and he needs to concentrate on improving his opponents. He needs to be stepping up through the levels now. But we'll see. But it was quite an interesting aftermath to that fight, and people just don't like the guy. It is what it is. No matter what, people don't like him. So we'll have to see. So that's enough out of me, folks. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.